Well, here we are again on another N7 day. A day where a lot of us reflect on the events of the game series, remember our favourite characters, their space hopping shenanigans, and sharing what the Mass Effect universe means to us. Today though, in a little bonus video while we work on other content, we wanted to briefly go over 7 of our favourite and more iconic moments in the series. 7 moments for N7 day. Also, we'll make this apparent now, there are no entries here for Andromeda, because although we enjoyed the game in certain parts, we discussed it and felt that to us there weren't any really strong iconic moments, but we are happy to be proven wrong on this. So without further delay, let's jump into 7 iconic Mass Effect moments on N7 Day 2018. Throughout the first Mass Effect, you spend the vast majority of the game trying to convince the Citadel Council of the incoming Reaper threat based on a vision from a Prothean artifact. But while moving along in the story, especially if you're playing for the very first time, you don't really have a full grasp on the situation laying in front of you, until you meet and speak to Sovereign for the first time. Only then do we get a full take on what the visions mean and the nightmare that is to unwind before us in later events. It wasn't just the meeting itself that sold this moment, but also the way it was delivered. Not only was it creepy and eye-opening, but it also carried a lot of gravitas with it. Real emphasis, power and authority. And that's why it gets a place on this list.
The pattern has repeated itself more times than you can fathom. Organic civilizations rise, evolve, advance, and at the apex of their glory, they are extinguished.
At the conclusion of the first Mass Effect, all races had to stand up to an enemy known only to a few. When Sovereign shows up at the Citadel to open the relay to Darkspace to bring back floods of Reapers, everyone decided, no matter what, to try and defend everything they held dear to them. Seeing the Normandy strike the decisive blow to an enemy they didn't know a huge amount about was an awesome sight to see and plays into humanity's way onto the Citadel Council. As a huge sci-fi fan, this moment ticked a lot of the right boxes for me. Big space fight, everything on the line, with a hero in their team leading them all. Big yes from me. Let's be honest, the opening scenes of Mass Effect 2 are a bit of a downer. Normandy blown to pieces, Shepard apparently dead, and your teammates have scattered and gone their own ways. Luckily, that feeling of despair doesn't last too long as we're reintroduced to 2 returning favourites. The first is Joker, who after being the last person you see before you, and I say this in air quotes, die, is one of the first people you see when you come back. There's almost a poetry to it. The second is the Normandy SR2. Getting to see our ship again after the previous one's decimation at the hands of the Collector ship was a sight for sore eyes. An extra bittersweet moment is you get to visit the original Normandy's crash site, rounding things off in a sombre and somewhat reflective way. One of my favourite DLCs ever is the Lair of the Shadow Broker. I could honestly put this whole DLC as an iconic moment, but I'll pick just a few for the sake of time. So much worked for me here. The story throughout kept me hooked, the little injections of comedy were well timed and a joy to play through, but the best moments of all, first is the reveal of the Shadow Broker himself, the mysterious Yarg. Having been in a position of power for over 6 decades, he had a feared reputation that few people matched. That was until Shepard and Liara rocked up to rescue a friend, Farron, from the Shadow Broker's base. Which leads into the final awesome moment, Liara becoming the new Shadow Broker. By the time we meet Liara again in Mass Effect 2, she's already an information broker, which probably made the transition to Shadow Broker a lot easier. But the moment she took over at the end of the DLC is a brilliant and perfect ending to everything that came before it.
experienced a power fluctuation while upgrading hardware.
With the last few entries, there has been an epic or happy or redeeming moment, but not with this one, unfortunately. The fall of THESSIA is one of the moments in Mass Effect 3 where there is nothing but a sad time. Other than having to go up against Kai Leng, that's just a maddeningly bad time. Knowing that you're rushing to get to the temple on THESSIA to try and give some hope on completing the Crucible, only to be beaten to the punch by Cerberus and Kai Leng, for me it was the first time I'd really felt a sense of defeat, that no matter what happened, the outcome was always going to end up in that defeat. And to rub salt in the wounds, you have to listen while the Asari soldiers who risk their lives to get you to the temple have Reapers wipe them out in an instant.
I repeat, is anyone on this frequency?
We read you. Give me your location.
The lieutenant's down. Our whole zone is collapsing. What happened to Shepard? Did they make it to the temple? I saw them. Wait, I've got a Reaper inbound. Please, is anybody there? Guys,
This one will be a bit shorter as it mirrors a lot of the same reasons of the Battle of the Citadel in the first Mass Effect, other than the enemy this time is known, and it is also known that only victory will do. Knowing that you're only minutes away from concluding 3 games worth of storylines in one pivotal moment, despite the controversy surrounding the ending, is something that will always stick in the mind. Seeing all the races, all the fleets come together for the final push to defeat the Reapers was a defining moment in the trilogy, and one that won't soon be forgotten by us. And we end on a moment very short but oh so very sweet, and that couldn't be left out of this video. Because how can we not put it in? With everything pretty much set in motion at this point, Shepard and Anderson find a quiet moment of reflection. Battered, bruised, but unbeaten, looking out over Earth and likely dreaming of finally being free of everything that has happened before, Anderson looks to you and says, quite simply,
I'm proud of you. Thank you, sir. Stay with me. We're almost through this. Anderson?
I don't think any more needs to be said. Honestly, this video has been one big nostalgia trip for us. We always look forward to N7 Day when it rolls around each year. It gives us a chance to geek out and look back over one of our favourite gaming franchises, and hopefully a franchise that will have another iconic entry in the future. If you are watching this on N7 Day, which is Wednesday the 7th of November, we'll be streaming some Mass Effect 3 multiplayer right here on the channel from 4 PM GMT, and we hope you'll join us. Thank you so much for watching again. We hope you enjoyed this little nostalgia trip, and we'll see you again very soon.